Number 10. The Chinese Mummy. Archaeologists in China recently made one of the most shocking discoveries in archaeology history. They didn't know what kind of chemical reaction they were about to let loose, but it would make even a jaded scientist's jaw drop. It happened when they uncovered an ancient burial area from 300 years ago in Hunan province. Two of the bodies buried here were nothing more than pale skeletons. However, a third was perfectly preserved, at least until something unexpected started happening. The Chinese archaeologists were baffled, claiming that when they first opened the man's coffin, his face was so fresh that it looked like he had just died yesterday. Even more bizarre was what happened in the hours following his coffin being opened. First, his face started to go black. Next, a disturbing smell started wafting from his body. In just a few hours, the perfectly preserved corpse had turned completely black, aging 300 years almost instantaneously. According to Dr. Lucas Nicol from the University of London, the coffin in which the man was buried had been covered in charcoal. The charcoal provided some type of barrier, which meant that bacteria was unable to reach the body for 300 years. But the moment air touched the man's flesh, 300 years of disintegration was activated, and the man decayed almost immediately. Number 9. Alien creatures on the beach. Thousands of creepy creatures washed up on a beach in the UK looking like tiny alien pods. It was Izzy MacArthur who first noticed the transparent creatures scattered across the shore in South Wales and shared pictures of them online. There were thousands of the things looking as if they had dropped right out of space. Izzy didn't know what to make of them, and neither did her friends online. Izzy also said that the longer she stood on the beach, the more the creepy creatures showed up. They were literally rolling in with the tide, freaking out everybody who was there to witness this bizarre phenomenon. But as it turned out, the creatures were actually sea gooseberries, not at all from space, but they are still creepy marine monsters with tentacles up to 20 times larger than their actual body. They use these tentacles to hunt prey in the ocean, things like plankton. The reason they get washed up on the beach is that they breed in the nearby waters. So during breeding season, as the tide rushes in, some of the gelatinous blobs end up on the shore. But it still doesn't mean you'd want to be swimming there when they start rolling in. Number 8. Haunted House. In South Carolina, a group of friends made the creepiest discovery of their lifetime. It happened when they went to check out an abandoned house that the locals claimed was haunted. The group got on their off-road vehicles, drove out into the rural area where the house was, and began to poke around inside. Instead of ghosts, they found a literal dead body. The corpse was decomposing inside an old freezer. According to Madison Childers, one of the friends who found the body, it was a very scary experience. At first, she couldn't even tell if it was a person because it had been there for months. The corpse had maggots writhing all over it, with an unbearable smell wafting up into their noses. As of right now, the authorities have no idea whose body this is. And to make things a little more mysterious, after the news broke, the abandoned house was burned down just days later. Could foul play have been involved? Could the dead body belong to someone who was a victim of a crime and the perpetrator came back to burn the house down to destroy the evidence of their crime? We may never know. Number 7. Ghost Ship. Over a century ago, one of the creepiest discoveries in history was made in the Outer Banks, North Carolina. It was August of 1921 when the ship of the Carroll A. Deering was discovered run aground on the treacherous rocks along the North Carolina coast. The ship itself wasn't all that creepy, but the fact that the crew had vanished into thin air and nobody knew what happened to them made this one of the most unsettling nautical mysteries ever. Just months before, the ship had set sail from Virginia in excellent condition. The captain was experienced, the crew all knew what they were doing, and they were bound for Rio de Janeiro with a hull full of coal. The ship delivered its cargo without any hiccups and headed back to the US. Sometime after leaving Brazil, something went terribly wrong. When the ship was finally discovered, the crew was nowhere to be found. Their personal belongings were gone, navigational equipment was missing, and the only living being still on the ship was a cat. To this day, nobody knows what happened to the crew of the Carol A. Deering, and it remains one of the creepiest shipwrecks ever discovered. What do you think happened to them? Tell us your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Creepy Robot Portrait. Something beyond creepy was recently unveiled at an art exhibition in London. While not exactly a discovery, it's definitely newsworthy. You see, the thing that was revealed in London was a painting, an extremely creepy one. The reason it's so disturbing is that the painting is a self-portrait painted by a machine. That's right, a literal robot with artificial intelligence has made self-portraits that are the first of their kind, which is something straight out of a science fiction movie. The android artist's name is Ida, and she's powered by the most advanced artificial intelligence software to date. She can blink, she can talk, and she can paint disturbing portraits. She was programmed by a team of experts from the University of Oxford and the University of Leeds. It took them 2 years to get her painting, and she's even given her own TEDx talk. This may not seem like an end-of-the-world scenario, but if robots have already begun to paint portraits of themselves, it's probably only a matter of time before they rise up and enslave humanity. Or not. Let's hope not. How do you feel about robots painting their own portraits? Is this the first step to a robotic takeover of the human race? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 5. Smiling Worm. A Russian fisherman has pulled out a smiling worm out of the ocean. It's one of the creepiest things you'll probably see today. The fisherman's name is Roman Fyodortsov, and he found the worm in a deep part of the ocean that receives almost no sunlight. At first glance, it looks as though the worm is showing off a great big grin. It even has spots that look like its eyes and nose. However, the worm was not actually smiling. According to Mark Siddall from the Museum of Natural History in New York, that wasn't even its face. It was only the camera angle that made it look so smiley. The truth is that the creature is a type of bristleworm that lives in the coldest parts of the ocean and has survived the last 5 major extinction events on our planet. It's still creepy, but smiling is the last thing it probably feels like doing. Would you want this worm for an extremely unique and rather creepy pet? I think it looks kind of adorable, personally. Number 4. Creepy Ancient Mask. A creepy ancient mask that dates back 9,000 years has caused some archaeologists to raise their eyebrows. The disturbing mask has vacant eyes, a toothy expression, and is one of only 15 such masks ever discovered. It was found a handful of months ago by archaeology authorities in Israel. The creepy mask was actually seized by the Theft Prevention Unit, and because of this, the experts have no idea where it was originally found. It was probably built by prehistoric people living in what is today Israel, though the exact archaeological site is unknown. At this point, you're probably wondering why prehistoric people needed a creepy mask made out of stone. The researchers don't actually know what it was used for. They did find holes along its sides that may have been for securing it to a person's face. But beyond that, the mask is a total enigma. Number 3. Ancient Burials. A series of creepy burials from 4,000 years ago was just found at an archaeological site in China. The burials were part of an old settlement built by a Neolithic civilization that has no name. Chinese archaeologists believe the burials could be the earliest of their kind anywhere in the country. Other than the rotting corpses found inside the burial plots, archaeologists also uncovered earthenware objects with ritualistic characters inscribed upon them. The suggestion here is that the creepy graves may have been part of a ritual activity during the Xia dynasty sometime between 2070 and 1600 BC. Seeing as these graves are ancient, archaeologists don't know much about them, why they were made, or what kind of rituals were involved. At least 50 tombs were found there, along with mysterious pits filled with grave goods and artifacts. The whole place is a mystery, but archaeologists are hoping that with more excavations, they can get to the bottom of the creepy burials. Number 2. The Inca maiden mummy. We all know about ancient civilizations that believed in human sacrifice in order to appease the deities of cultures that are long gone now. 500 years ago, a young Incan girl who was only 15 years old was a victim and was sacrificed. She was originally discovered in 1999 at the very top of a volcano in Argentina. The volcano is called Yaco, and its peak is 22,100 feet above sea level. The girl, who was quickly nicknamed the Maiden, was likely used in a ceremonial ritual of great importance. Researchers don't know why she needed to be sacrificed, along with a 7-year-old boy and 6-year-old girl found with her. But since the Inca took her all the way to the top of the volcano, it must have been serious. After her discovery, researchers started looking at her body. She was extremely well preserved thanks to the frozen temperatures at the top of the volcano, so they were able to get a lot of information. They discovered that she'd been fattened up before the sacrifice, fed a royal diet of maize and llama meat. She was also suffering from a bacterial lung infection at the time of her sacrifice, though the experts honestly have no idea if the Inca even knew about it. As you could probably guess, they didn't have advanced medical machines to determine the root cause of many illnesses. Even all these years later, the Maiden is one of the eeriest, creepiest, and most mysterious mummies ever found in the world. Number 1. Switchblade fish. The creepiest fish in the world has switchblades in its face. And yes, it's absolutely terrifying. The fish, known as a stonefish, is also so incredibly dangerous that it could kill you with a single jab of the spines growing out of its back. The spines on its back have such potent venom that a single jab can kill a fully grown man in minutes. But other than just being venomous, ugly, and beyond creepy, the fish has switchblades in its face too. The bizarre discovery was recently made by scientists who refer to the switchblades as lacrimal sabers. The blades are located just under the eyes of the fish, almost like an extremely dangerous mustache. Researcher William Leo Smith says the switchblades are literally embedded in the skull of the stonefish. What makes the blades so unique is that they're able to rotate 90 degrees. In other words, the fish can actually rotate the spiky blades in whatever direction it chooses, warding off any potential predators by swimming at them with a pair of knives pointing from its head. When the fish doesn't need to use the switchblades, it keeps them pressed firmly against its head. It really makes you wonder just how many defense mechanisms the stonefish needs. The creepy critter has some of the most potent venom in the world, and it has switchblades attached to its skull. If you ask me, it really seems like overkill for a tiny fish. Which of these weird discoveries creeped you out the most? Let us know in the comment section down below, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the subscribe button for more awesome content. See you next time. Bye!